Hallöchen, heute machen wir mal wieder ein Demo. Es ist schon ein paar Tage her und ich sage das, glaube ich, bei fast jeder Aufnahme, aber heute machen wir mal wieder eins. Und das ist heute Death and Faeology. Ist, glaube ich, nur noch bis morgen. Ich lade das heute am 24.02. hoch, aber es ist, glaube ich, nur noch bis morgen in der Steam, nicht Bibliothek, im Steam Shop verfügbar, wo man das Demo spielen kann. Danach wird es wieder runtergenommen, soweit ich das verstanden habe. Aber ich fange gleich mal an. So, what is your name? Augustin. Gut, wir heißen jetzt einfach mal so, ne? Detective Visual Novel mäßiges Spiel in den 1920ern angesetzt, aber halt mit dieser Fan-Thematik. Finde ich sehr interessant und jetzt bin ich mal gespannt, was passiert. So. Grading first-year assignments can be such an exercise in patience. I have to remind myself that Faeology is a relatively recent science, only a couple of decades old. I have to remember that many of my colleagues at the university still perceive my field of study as nothing more than mythology or pseudoscience at best. I have to recognize that children inherit their parents' prejudices and misconceptions. Freshmen are, after all, as the terminology for them suggests, fresh. Still, I may have to slam my head against the desk if I read one more reference to glass slippers and poisoned apples, ushering princesses into eternal sleep. Das kommt einem doch bekannt vor, ne? I have to take a break before one of these so-called fairy godmothers barges into my office and transfigures all my brain cells into mush. Besides, who needs a fairy godmother when I have good old Oz right here? I'd say a break is in order, wouldn't you, Oz? I feel a migraine setting in. Migraine. My trusted fairy companion responds through trills that I've learned to interpret over the decades I've known them. Sieht interessant aus, also ich finde das Design sehr cool mit den hier auch mit den Augen und ja, sieht einfach cool aus. I keep telling you what you should do. If you show me off to your students, then they can no longer ascribe fantastic qualities to fae-kind. They can study me firsthand. In the end, they'll be forced to accept the magical realm in our terms, not theirs. Nice try. You know, I'd never parade you around the university. I'm protected of fae-kind and their plight, and especially of you. I mean, I first stumbled upon you when I was 7. Chances are high those people will try to pin you to corkboard and vivisect you. Ich schätze mal, das ist Insekten auseinandernehmen. Scientists, even of the would-be variety, are strange. I'd never want to risk anything like that. While you're recovering from the regrettable ignorance of today's youth, isn't there something else in your agenda this afternoon? Oh, right, Mr. Henkel's letter. Thanks, Oz. I don't know what I'd do without you. I retrieved the letter from my patron from a desk drawer. I lean back on my chair and read the missive aloud to myself. Dear Augustin, how long are you going to keep me in suspense? Will you or will you not accompany me to this year's Lions Gala? You could do a lot worse than forgetting your boring books for a moment in favor of whiling away an evening with champagne and canapes and invigorating company. And when I say invigorating, I'm not speaking of those old sots with deep pockets ready to be exploited by way of funding grants for your research. I'm speaking, of course, of yours truly. Do write to me sometime before Sunday. That's tomorrow's date. You'd better do as your patron says. Oh, I know, my delay in responding is entirely by design, I assure you. The only thing worse than being cooped up in this office and persevering through these essays is attending an event where I have to pretend I've got anything in common with the city's elite. Oz's replying chirp is decidedly indignant. I shush Oz before returning to Mr. Henkel's letter. In other news, I've heard that little Rufy Blythe caused a minor ruckus in the city's hottest speakeasy. If your old friend Detective Krause hadn't been in the area at the time as well, who knows what could have happened? I shake my head at this revelation. I would have called Rufy and told her off, just as I've done countless times when we were children. However, for better or for worse, we aren't on friendly terms anymore. I resume reading my patron's letter. Speaking of the detective, have the two of you been keeping in contact? He gave me the cold shoulder when I crossed paths with him at last week's benefit. I couldn't help assuming that his persistently frosty treatment of me might have had something to do with you. That then got me wondering. It's unfortunate that the extensive history between you two could not withstand the resolution of a relatively brief romance. As you have told me more than once when it was good, there was nothing else quite like it. In light of all that, are you satisfied with the way you left things with him? Do you believe that resolving your differences with the detective is at all possible? The letter is signed, Yours Everlasting, Oscar Henkel. I am sorry for stumbling on so many words. Well, I've kept Mr. Henkel waiting long enough. I press a pen to a fresh sheet of paper to commence crafting a response. Just then, however, a familiarly rhythmic rapping pierces the silence. I glance in the direction of Oz, but they are nowhere to be seen. Oz must have camouflaged himself in a heartbeat. Oz knows they're supposed to conceal their presence from everybody but me. I replace Mr. Henkel's letter in the drawer before calling out. Come in, Minnie. My assistant enters the office. She's careful to snap the door shut behind her. You're not going to like this. Like what? What's going on? That police detective from the newspapers is here. Police detective? Even as I echo these two words, there's a sinking feeling in my stomach. You know, the man who made you crumple the papers and toss them in the trash can. In the end, I had to stop our subscription for the dailies. Detective Theodore Krause? Yes, that's the one. Knowing Theo is here makes my world go momentarily off-kilt. It's as if by the magic of the very fairy tales I malign, the ink in my patron's letter has manifested him in the reception area. Can't you tell him I'm out delivering a lecture on the far side of campus or something? That depends. Is a lie like that going to deter this man? An astute question. My assistant is truly wise beyond her years. Probably not. He'd heavily traversed the entire campus just to torment me, I'm guessing. I'll let him in. With a brisk nod, Minnie returns to the reception area. I barely have time for a steadying breath before Theo barges in. Right off the bat, he drops a box on my desk. What is this? Why is he in my office? Will you look at that? You're here to leave all your baggage without even saying hello? What? Do niceties suddenly mean something to you? I seem to recall you packing your bags and moving out without so much as a goodbye. This reunion is off to a great start then. His gaze on mine is challenging. What should I ask him? Okay, why he's here, oder what the box contains. Ich frage why he's here. Why are you here? Did you ever think maybe I just wanted to drop by? Can't the man visit his formerly betrothed without an ulterior motive? An ordinary man could, certainly. But I've known you long enough to recognize the look in your eyes when there are strings attached. It's been months since I saw you last. Even then, I can never get anything past you, can I? This enormous box you've just dropped on my desk is a tip-off, I should say. What have you brought me? I'll give you one guess. Guess what's in the box? Evidence oder underwear unwashed since the beginning of... Das finde ich gut, das werde ich auswählen. Underwear unwashed since the beginning of time. You kept wearing them to work until their infernal stench took over the precinct. The homicide unit then threatened to make a victim out of you. So you decided you had to visit the one person in the world who ever stooped to the level of washing them for you. You can't trick me into embracing my old role, I'm afraid. But how can you be so sure nobody else has been washing my underwear in your stead? As somebody with the unenviable misfortune of having witnessed them at their sorriest state, I rest my case. Well, aren't you such a martyr? But are you sanely enough to see through all my artifice and identify what's really in the box? Jesting aside, I do have an idea. This has to be evidence for a case assigned to you by the homicide unit. I've seen boxes like this one before, but never one quite so large. That must mean it's a big case. He nods. The biggest of my career. Bigger than I'm equipped to handle, quite possibly. This box includes case files, crime scene photos, and a couple of biological samples. But this is only one box among several. That's what you get if you keep aiming for the most sensational cases, the ones that make the headlines and include quotes and sometimes even tiny square photographs of you. You've been keeping a watchful eye on my media presence, have you? Are you perchance hiding a scrapbook full of my words and pictures somewhere? Where is it? Of course I don't keep a scrapbook, not of Theo or of anything or anyone else. Yeah, wer weiß. However, my traitorous gaze starts toward my desk drawer of all possible places. What's in that drawer? Should I say what the drawer contains? Tell him or resist? I tell him. I keep my letters in here. You know how much I value regular correspondence. As expected, this response deflates him at once. Oh, you're not still writing to that man, are you? If you mean the man who signed me out of for my scientific pursuits as a young orphan, funded all my years of private education and continues to finance my research, then yes. Mr. Henkel and I are still devoted pen pals. Theo scolds but says nothing. I should get back to business. Anyway, what makes this case so significant? I am leading the investigation of a multiple murder case, potentially perpetrated by a single culprit. You've handled those types of cases before. Nothing like this one, I'm telling you. The victims are chiefly middle-aged, women residing north of the city. They're from old money families, the type that makes regular appearances at high society events. I see, so the chief must be putting a lot of pressure on you. Pressure like you wouldn't believe. He took me off every other case and tasked me with pinpointing all my time and effort on this one. The victim profiles, coupled with their manner of death, shot this case straight to priority status. It's only a matter of time until the media catches wind and makes a circus of everything. There are so many leads to investigate, so many interests to unravel. Yeah, you get it. I have no idea where to begin. He has a faraway look in his eyes all of a sudden. What's my next move? Comfort him? Motivate him? Comfort him. Listen, it's okay if you feel lost and desperate. Maybe you just need a second to unwind and breathe. You're with me, no judgment here. You can say anything, or nothing at all if you prefer. You know, I've been striving to be in this unit since I first applied. I always wanted to catch criminals, the worst in the city. I wanted to find answers for those who most needed them, to provide some small measure of solace to the families of victims, but I just don't get what's going on anymore. Across the city, crime is becoming more rampant, and the criminality is rising not only in terms of quantity, but also in terms of depravity. It used to be criminals clearly desired something from somewhere. Sex, money, drugs, revenge. Those in the way of those objectives were eliminated. The deaths were usually incidental. Now I can even begin to guess what criminals are getting out of this. Are they killing for the sake of killing? Has humanity sunk into those depths? The senselessness of it all just staggers me. Even as he lapses into silence, I say nothing. I know he just wants to let it out. He doesn't need input from anyone. After a minute, he meets my eyes once more. Thanks for letting me voice out my frustrations. Not a problem. I can tell you needed that. Look, I believe in you, okay? Doesn't matter what we've been through or how long we've been apart. I'll believe in you till the day I die. Perhaps even after that. I appreciate that. I'm glad I came. Do you want to tell me more about this case? Are you allowed? Since I'm leading the investigation, I do have some discretion on what details to divulge and to whom. That's if I know the confidant can bring value to the investigation, or at least won't impede its progress. Earlier you mentioned the manner of death as a distinguishing factor. So can you tell me how the victim passed? Each one had a unique manner of death. And when I say unique, I do mean that. 3 of the victims had a manner of death that the unit has never seen or heard of before. The strangest case for me is the one where the body seemingly hardened into bony tissue overnight. Her corpse almost looked like a carved wooden statue. Oh, I've heard of something like that before. In response to my matter-of-fact tone, he silently stares. I hasten to clarify. Ossification isn't likely to appear in police records, no. However, it's a known fairy curse. Fae factions in conflict have been rumored to... Theo interrupts me. Ah, yes, the famous fae and their cursed, riddled conflicts. Of course you'd take this discussion in that direction right away. Magic makes the world go round, or so you occultists like to say. You're the one who walked into the office of a forensic faeologist. What else did you expect? Besides, as I've told you a billion times before, faeology is not the same as occultism. Faeology is the study of the genetics, taxonomy, morphology, physiology, behavior, ecology, and last but not least, forensic application of... Theo cuts me off once more. What does it matter? They all make-believe. They all involve miserable people banding together and sharing their delusions to feel less alone. I could say the same about religion. Oh, please, I've heard this tirade too many times to count. Go on. Tell me about how the fact that you don't believe in anything or stand for anything makes you so much better than everyone else. Do I have to? You summarized the gist of my argument so perfectly just now, so cuttingly. That's because I always hear you out, even though you never listen to me in return. I can tell you I'm a scientist dealing with hard facts just like you do until I'm blue in the face. I can repeat ad infinitum that I'm not in the business of believing, and you still won't let that sink in. Not in the business of believing? You just said you believe in me. And if you're going to keep up this cattishness, I'll cease believing in you. How easily you change your mind. You must have slipped off that fancy ring I got you just as easily, even after you staunchly agreed you'd spend the rest of your life with me. Do you really want to go there? We've been dancing around the past all afternoon. Perhaps it's time we laid all our cards on the table. But just as I draw in a deep breath and ready myself for a sermon of every shortcoming he possesses, he switches tracks all of a sudden. Okay, so you're a scientist. I have a problem for you. Use your scientific method to arrive at a scientific solution. Develop for me preliminary theories on the culprit of this case and what their motive might be. I won't stand for any guesswork without any theoretical basis. I give you 24 hours to solve this puzzle. This is your sole opportunity to prove your mettle as a so-called scientist. I'll be back tomorrow at the same time to pick up the evidence. I don't have anything to prove to you. Get out of my office. As commanded, Theo turns on his heel and strides in the direction of the door. He's left a large box of evidence on my desk. Wait, take this blasted box with you! That's too late. He's out of my office, out of sight, out of earshot. Now that we're alone again, Oz dispels the magic that makes them invisible to imperfect human eyes. I train my eyes on the prismatic flutter of my fairy companion's wings as I stew over what just happened. Theo's temperament is as irritable as ever. He hasn't changed at all. I recognize that his own desk must be overloaded now that he's in charge of this massive case. I get that he's overwhelmed by the hefty documentation and the involvement of especially demanding and powerful families. Why else would he come here for help? As proud and as independent as he is. Still, that doesn't mean he can take out his frustrations on somebody else. Somebody that he used to love, no less. I let the prickly heat of indignation wash over me before I make my next move. I retrieve my patron's letter from the desk drawer and get started on a reply. I mumble to myself as I write. Dear Mr. Henkel, I hope your recent forays into high society have proven more fruitful than they have in... Should I be hyperbolic? Yes or no, be realistic? Yes. More fruitful than they have in the centuries you've been roaming amongst their lavish ranks. Believe it or not, I have been considering whether the merits of trying to impress the wealthiest folk of the city with my research efforts outweigh the obvious indignities. Is debasing myself worthwhile if it means a hefty research grant shall be deposited directly into my pockets? You first brought up the possibility of my accompanying you to the annual Liars Gala months ago, and I'm still weighing my options. How do I want to play this? Be coy, be apologetic. Ich versuch's mit apologetic. I still don't have a definitive answer for you at present, I'm afraid. I sincerely apologize for my indecisiveness. About Ruthie, I can't say I'm surprised to hear about her latest flirtations with disaster. Since we're both toddlers, she's always been the type to find herself in trouble. More than once, her poor parents discovered her stuffing cookies into her mouth amidst the shards of a smashed jar. On holidays, there would be no presents to open in the morning after she'd torn through all the colorful wrapping paper in the dead of night. I would have thought she'd learned to master her frequent flights of impulsion since then, but alas... I do remember the brighter moments of our shared childhood with fondness, however. It was a good thing indeed that Theo was there to smooth things over for her. I've now arrived at the topic of Theo, or Detective Kraus, as my patron refers to him. This is the point of the letter that I'm dreading the most. I must answer the question of whether I believe there's even a glimmer of a possibility of resolving my differences with Theo. I suppose the implied query is whether I will ever consider rekindling that romance. Is there hope with Theo? Yes or no? Das ist die Frage, ne? Ich meine, die haben sich ja schon sehr auf dem falschen Fuß erwischt, aber... Warum eigentlich nicht? Wir geben dem Ganzen jetzt mal eine Chance. Yes. I mutter under my breath as I write. In response to your question, yes, I hope to resolve my differences with Theo somewhere down the line. He can be difficult at times, but I know he has a good heart deep down. Upon signing off, I seal the letter with wax. I then turn toward my trusted Fae. Os, can I please trouble you with something? You want me to deliver this letter to your patron, don't you? Indeed, time is of the essence here. As always, please take care not to catch anybody's attention. Simply slip this letter into his mailbox, that's all. He'll see it by tomorrow morning, I'm sure. It would be my pleasure. Thank you, Oz. I'm off. I see you later today. I watch as Oz flits out of my office window and vanishes. Once the Fae is gone, I call my assistant to my office. Minnie, I need a favor. Alcohol is the next order of business, I suppose. Alcohol? The police detective was cursing non-stop as he stormed out of your office. I'm guessing that meeting with him didn't go smoothly? It certainly didn't. Hence the need of alcohol, as you said. I'll go fetch a bottle. Any preferences? As tempting as that sounds, that's not why I summoned you. Minnie eyes the box still resting on my desk. Oh, I just noticed that the detective left the big box he brought. He's a troublesome one, isn't he? Do you need me to clear your desk? Take the box away for safekeeping? No, that won't be necessary. I do want to check something here. Despite demanding Theo take this box with him earlier, I can't deny my budding curiosity. I'm itching to delve more deeply into the details of this enigmatic case. I rifle through the contents of the box. Carefully, I extract the samples of biologically evidence that Theo mentioned. There are 2 test tubes of what appears to be human hair. Would you mind asking Dr. Rayford to analyze these genetic samples? I'll do that, sure. Minnie hurries out. I'm alone in my office again. I should have some time until the chemist gets here with the tested samples. I direct my attention to the box on my desk. It's time to investigate the evidence. This box contains case files, photographs, and other assorted objects. I should take them out of the box and put them on my desk. Okay, hier mein kleines Tutorial. Drag and drop items from the inventory to the desk. Okay, wir kriegen gleich einen Inventory-Bildschirm und dann können wir das auf unseren Tisch legen. Das ist doch schön. To look at the things more closely, I have my magnifying glass. Use the magnifying glass to see the details in the evidence. Okay. Use the black light to see invisible things. To detect the presence of fae magic, I have my black light. The tool color codes magical traces. Blue for scribes, red for warriors, purple for parasites. The ultraviolet glow is most effective with concrete evidence. But the black light should work on photos too, if the magic is especially strong. Last but not least, I have my fae encyclopedia. That's not an easy word. I can read it if I need to refresh myself about certain concepts. I'll be taking notes as I progress through the investigation so I can review what I've learned at any point. Press the icon to open Inspector menu. Press the button to end the investigation. Okay, ein bisschen was von Sherlock Holmes, so mit dem, ja, die Hints, also die mir fällt jetzt das deutsche Wort gar nicht ein, die Hinweise, genau, die Hinweise zusammenzubringen und dann halt eine Theorie aufzustellen, oder nicht eine Theorie, aber you get it. Gut, dann probieren wir das doch gleich mal aus. I can end my investigation whenever I feel like I have enough information, but it may be worthwhile to stay longer and gather more data. Gut, gucken wir mal. Desk, Record, Tools, Help. Okay, das ist das gleiche von eben. Kann das ab? Kann man nicht abbrechen. Ich klicke mich noch mal kurz durch. Okay, dann schauen wir mal, was haben wir denn hier an Records? Wir haben Case File 1. Kann man das irgendwie öffnen? Tools. Okay. Ich nehme einfach mal die Lupe. Ah ja, hier steht ja was. Name: Audrey Wooldridge, age 51 years old. Manner of death: hardening into bony tissue. From afar, the corpse looks like a carved wooden statue. Time of death: 1:48 p.m. Victim profile: an affluent middle-aged woman in the city. Police report: the victim reported hearing strange noises and seeing strange phenomena in the days immediately preceding her death. The interviewing officer suspected, due to the victim's strange behavior, involvement in occult manners. Wooldridge. Now that's a familiar name. Okay, dann haben wir das schon mal angeguckt. Also wieder reinstecken. Perfekt. Case File 2. So, was haben wir hier? Name: Susan Moore. Age 40 years old. Manner of death: refusing to drink anything but her own blood. Well, that's curious. Time of death: 11:03 a.m. Victim profile: an affluent middle-aged woman in the city. Police report: the victim's mother reported that the victim was suffering from a prolonged paranoid episode in the days leading to her death. Specifically, the victim was acting erratically and was saying strange things. Okay. Einfach mal kurz was trinken. Lasst euch nicht davon stören. Hat man wahrscheinlich trotzdem gehört, weil das Mikro so fein ist. Egal. Gut, Case File Komm nicht an meine Lupe. Name. Edna Niblet, age 64 years old. Manner of death, gnawing her own fingers down to the bone. Time of death, 10:10 a.m. Gnawing her own fingers. Victim profile, an affluent middle-aged woman in the city. Ich sehe da eine Gemeinsamkeit. Police report. A friend of the victim reported that she visited the victim's residence to drop off an invitation shortly prior to the victim's death. The friend also wanted to check on the victim's well-being as she had allegedly been acting strangely at a party the night before. According to the friend, she witnessed an emotionally charged conversation between the victim and a young factory girl. However, the friend didn't think much of the interaction at the time. At the crime scene, the invitation card dropped off by the friend was seen close to the victim's corpse and was taken in as evidence. Das ist auch interessant. Gut, das haben wir hier jetzt noch. Case File 4. Name, Mary Hatcher, age 19 years old. Das ist auf jeden Fall die jüngste schon mal. Manner of death, seemingly poisoned. Time of death, 6:15 p.m. Victim profile, a young factory girl. Okay, das ist, natürlich ist es keine middle-aged woman, weil sie ist erst 19 Jahre alt gewesen. Despite not fitting the trend of the previous victim profiles, she has been preliminarily included in this case because she was seen having a heated conversation with the third victim shortly prior to that victim's death. Police report. The victim's father described her as not acting like herself in the days before she passed. Shortly before her death, the victim visited the police station. According to the interviewing officer, she seemed to be on the brink of confessing something when a look of terror suddenly crossed her face. She then appeared to change her mind. She hurriedly left the station without saying anything further to the interviewing officer. Interessant. Okay, jetzt gucken wir mal hier dieses Foto an. Gruselig. An extra finger on the left hand. Interesting. I should check something in my encyclopedia. Okay, dafür haben wir ja die Tools. So. Direkt was gefunden. Some faeologists have applied Darwin's theory of natural selection to fae-kind by putting them in the same genealogical line as insects, especially the Lepidoptera group, which are moths and butterflies. This is supported by their similarities to each other. Beneath a special black light, some species of butterflies can glow by having a chemical known as phosphorus, which fae also have. Both these butterflies and fae display an attraction to the black light. The similarities of fae-kind to insects as well as birds and others in the animal kingdom manifest in terms of the variance of fairy magical abilities. One magical skill possessed by some fae is transfiguration, which is similar to metamorphosis. Wielders of transfigurative spells can make themselves or fellow fae take on another form, including through appearing human. Some fae have heightened powers of suggestion through the emission of toxins capable of causing hypnosis or illusions. Another example of fae magic is invisibility, which is similar to camouflage. Yes, I've definitely seen that camouflage ability in action. Oz can make themselves invisible to the naked human eye. It's nothing short of incredible. Gut, aber ist es das, was wir gerade hier gesucht haben? Ich glaube irgendwie nicht. Ich blätter mal weiter. Base species. There are two main factions of high fae, the scribes and the warriors. The scribes are known for their defensive magic and their intelligence. The warriors are known for their power and their offensive magic. Meanwhile, the limited magic of the parasitic fae, a widely maligned species ich kann es irgendwie nicht aussprechen, I'm sorry. That includes blood drinkers, consists only of what they can sap gradually whilst in close proximity to high fae. Scribes, in collaboration with human scientists, developed a special blacklight to detect and distinguish the magical essence of the three main types of fae. Beneath the blacklight, scribe magic appears blue, warrior magic red, and parasitic magic purple or violet. Practical applications of the blacklight include forensic faeology. Okay, das ist aber irgendwie immer noch nicht das, was ich gesucht habe. Fae-Class-Konflikt. Wir blättern uns einfach jetzt mal ein bisschen durch. The history of fae-class conflict is not very well documented. Historically, scribes and warriors have been recognized as opposing factions that have long been embroiled in violent conflict. Low factions or high fae deem parasites despicable low fae due to the limited and parasitic nature of their magic. Magic, ja. Magic natürlich. So, Changelings. Ah, hier ist doch das mit dem Extrafinger. Gut, da ging jetzt halt kein Fenster auf, aber ich lese das mal hier vor. A changeling is composed of several fae, typical of the parasitic type. Since parasites are regarded by their fellow fae as weak, magically transformed to look almost exactly like an abducted human. Due to the complexity of the fae magic required to create a changeling, the enchantment always... Langsam. The enchantment almost always goes awry. Anomalies common among changelings include an extra finger or an extra toe. Nearby heat conductors, such as small metallic objects, have also been known to repel or to wrap the magic, creating changelings. Okay, dann haben wir es hier wohl mit einem Changeling zu tun. Kann man das irgendwie... Nö, interessiert ja nicht. Gut. Ja, guck mal hier. Das habe ich jetzt gerade schon vorgelesen. Do the complexity, lalalala. Extra finger, extra toe. Nearby head conductors, magic creating changelings. Okay, hier geht's weiter. Almost everyone views changelings mainly in a negative light, as they are a known contributor to case of neglect and murder. Humans who genetically have oddities associated with changelings are sometimes treated harshly and falsely accused of being changelings. Here are rumors of changelings. Warte mal, das ist irgendwie ein bisschen komisch. There are rumors of hidden tea. There are rumors of changelings who were neither discovered nor suspected until much later. A question arises on whether they remember their lives prior to being integrated into human society. Some researchers have attempted explaining missing person cases as involving changelings who learned of their true lineage and elected to go back to their own kind. Gut, dann haben wir da ja schon mal was rausgefunden. Ob man das jetzt auch hier mit dem Schwarzlicht sich angucken kann? Ups, ich wollte die Lupe wegmachen. Ah ja, da ist was. Sigil, glowing blue, scribe magic. How intriguing. I can probably read about sigils in my encyclopedia. Ich schwöre. Also mit dem Englisch geht es eigentlich sonst ein bisschen leichter. I should follow up with Dr. Rayford regarding her consultation with the sigil expert. Okay, finden wir dann hier was? Hier haben wir noch was anderes. The scribes are high fae who are assimilationists. They are friendlier to and cooperative with humans and optimistic about fae-human relations. Humans who have done special favors or boons for scribes are said to be blessed by them for generations via inheritable invisible markings such as sigils or birthmarks. The rumored fae-touched bloodlines have become wealthy and powerful through the decades that they have been favored. Okay. Hier auch noch irgendwas angucken? Nee. Also das ist schon mal interessant. Gut. Dann gucken wir uns mal das nächste Bild an. Bild. Gib. So. Ah, wieder ein extra finger. An extra finger on the left hand. Interesting, I should check something in my encyclopedia. Hab ich ja schon. Da ist auch wieder Scribe Magic. Genau. Immer mal. Yes, der nimmt immer jetzt gleich das ganze Buch mit. So, haben wir hier auch einen extra finger? An extra finger stump on the left hand. Interesting, I should check. Ja, check. Hier ist das Symbol. Wieder Scribe Magic. Und last but not least, gucken wir auf das letzte. Also hier ist es ist so ein bisschen buggy, dass das gleich das ganze Buch immer mitnimmt. So, gucken wir mal. Nothing out of the ordinary here. Das ist das junge Mädchen wahrscheinlich. Nothing out of the ordinary here. Ja, dann hat die wahrscheinlich eher nichts damit zu tun. Aber okay, dann können wir jetzt ja die Investigation beenden, weil wir haben ja alles, denke ich, rausgefunden, was wir darüber rausfinden können. Vom Lesen und von dem, was in der Enzyklopädie steht. Schauen wir mal. Oh, auf einmal ist es dunkel geworden. A knock on the door makes me glance up from my desk. I realize just then that the sun has set while I've been absorbed in the investigation. It's now evening. Come in. My assistant enters the office. Dr. Rayford has arrived to drop off the biological samples. Already? Yes, she's just out the door. I have to take a moment to steel myself for this interaction. Alright, send her in. Minnie nods. She returns to the reception area. My least favorite chemist, and unfortunately the university's only resident chemist who doesn't denounce the existence of fae, marches in. Good evening, Professor. Dr. Florence Rayford hands over the biological samples. She also gives me her lab report. Here you go. Thanks. So, what have you found? The lab report contains a comprehensive analysis of the results. You know, you could have just passed the report and the samples to Minnie. You didn't have to trouble yourself to drop in, really. Oh, it's no trouble. We non-fair deniers have to stick together, don't we? I respond with a grunt that's intended to appease her, but it probably only conveys my unwillingness to have this conversation. While you're here, why don't you give me a summary of your findings? Did you discover anything peculiar about either or both of the hair samples? She waves her hand in a dismissive manner. The lab report contains my detailed findings. Everything. More importantly, have you heard about the seance that I'm hosting? My guest list was sparse from the start and it only grows more selective as the days goes by. But worry not, you're top of the list. As flatters as I'm here, I am to hear that my schedule has been woefully tight as of late. You won't want to miss this, believe me. Occultists from the farthest flung reaches of this great nation, from distant continents even, will be assembling to bear witness to magic of the highest order. There shall be fireworks of a sort, red and blue and violet, the flagship colors of the fae. What was previously relegated to fairy tales shall finally be proven as fact. This is exactly what I've been fearing since she came in. I hasten to steer away from this detour, but it soon becomes the sole source powering her speech. This conversation is like a train into which I stumbled by accident. Try as I might, I can't get off. As if by an instinct of self-preservation, I tune out and let my attention wander. The truth is, I've never felt comfortable around the chemist. Whereas the death of my parents left me destitute in my early years, her family happens to run an extremely successful cosmetics company. That's a nectar bell, isn't it? There have long been rumors that her family's ancient money has gotten her out of tight sports. It allegedly bought her the position in this prestigious university. The difference in our upbringing is enough of a gap to bridge, but what truly bothers me is her long-time obsession with all things occult. It always exasperates me when members of the public conflate Faeology with fanciful fairy tales, just like Dr. Radford is so fond of doing. Wait a moment. I can take advantage of this, can't I? The chemist's eclectic, or perhaps the better word is eccentric. Her knowledge base may be helpful to the case. But can I trust an outside party with the sensitive details of an ongoing investigation? As I'm dwelling over this question, knuckles rap against the door once more. The specific sound is familiar. More familiar than when my assistant knocks. Special delivery. Mr. Henkel's hands are empty. And what, pray, might you be bringing for me? Is it you? Are you yourself the special delivery, Mr. Henkel? If you wish to call me special, then I certainly won't stop you. But I did bring a box of sunflower seed muffins for your office. Minerva was instantly enamored by their buttery scent. She's currently feasting on them in the reception area. We can only hope she'll leave a muffin apiece for the rest of us. Oh, hello there, Florence. I didn't expect to see you in this office. Hello, Mr. Henkel. What's been occupying your time as of late? The usual matters, I suppose. I tried asking your father about you at the last soirée. However, he confessed he didn't have the faintest idea. You must tell me about your chemical research on one of these days. The colorful pursuits of young academics thrill me to no end. I'm afraid I can't share all that much, Mr. Henkel. Chemistry involves more daily drudgery than you'd think, fewer explosions than you'd expect. I wait for Dr. Rayford to mention her science and all the explosive revelations that allegedly entail. She doesn't, though. Perhaps she was serious about keeping her guest list selective. Mr. Henkel, did you get my letter? Is that the real reason you dropped by? Upon recalling that I asked us to insert the letter into his mailbox only this afternoon, I'm about to retract these questions. Unexpectedly, though, he bows his head in assent. Indeed. Your words have always had this immersive impact on me. Perhaps that is why you're such an effective educator. Whenever I encounter your written language, I long to hear it spoken post haste, and vice versa. Spricht sehr gewählt. Most of the time I manage to smother that urge, but not always. I wanted to see you for even the briefest moment before going about the rest of my day. Should I leave you two alone? I should be going soon. No, that might not be necessary. I can't stay long either. Mr. Henkel lapses into silence as he continues staring into my eyes. It's difficult to maintain eye contact with him, but even harder to look away. I wonder what I should do. Should I tell Mr. Henkel to return another day since I need to have an important conversation with Dr. Rayford right away? Or should I dismiss the chemist and meet with my patron now? There are benefits to either choice. Soliciting Dr. Rayford's opinion on the case may be a good idea. There are occult-like elements in the case, and an officer outright said that they suspected occult involvement on the part of the first victim. Sigils may have some connection to occultism as well. On the other hand, Mr. Henkel is also a viable candidate for an interview. With his links to high society, he might have a unique perspective on the victims. Whom should I interview? Also, ich finde Mr. Henkel interessanter, aber Dr. Rayford hat wahrscheinlich durch die Haarproben ein bisschen mehr Insight in das, was ich hier eigentlich auch rausfinden möchte. Also werde ich jetzt Dr. Rayford interviewen. Dr. Rayford, would you mind staying a little longer? I'd like to hear your opinion about something. Certainly, I can never deny a fellow fae-believer a favor. When I address my patron once more, regret colors my tone. Mr. Henkel, would you mind coming back another day? I have something crucial to discuss with the doctor at present. Of course, I understand your scientific pursuits precede all else. I wouldn't have it any other way. Thank you for dropping off those muffins. Even if I don't get a chance to taste them, I'm sure they're delicious. I can bring some more next time. I'll see you soon, right? As soon as possible, I promise. Mr. Henkel and Dr. Rayford exchange brief goodbyes. My patron then departs. I am alone with the chemist again. Dr. Rayford, if I tell you something, would you promise to keep it a secret between us? The truth is, there's an ongoing criminal case I've been researching. Detective Krauss chose to consult me about it. The media currently doesn't know anything about the crimes. He wants to keep it that way. I'm adept at keeping secrets. You and your fiancé need not worry. Former fiancé. We broke it off a month ago. Is that why you and your patron were patently flirting in front of me earlier? We weren't. It's not my fault he's such a charmer. You didn't sound resistant at all to being charmed. Well, disregarding all that, I swear my lips are sealed. The samples I analyzed are part of the evidence in this case, right? Right. Now that I've sworn the chemist to secrecy, I tell her the fundamental facts of the case. She listens silently at all the while. When I finish my summation, she has only one word to say to me. Interesting. So I wanted to ask you something. Ask me anything. What should I ask her? Ask about sigils oder ask about changelings? Ich finde diese Symbole, whatever it is, auf jeden Fall interessanter gerade. You've heard about sigils, haven't you? I might have. Why? Do you know anything about this particular sigil? Ich weiß übrigens nicht, ob ich das richtig ausspreche. Ne? I just go with the flow. I show her a blue sigil underneath the black light. I know an expert on all sorts of sigils. I can consult him about the specific sigil and get back to you at a later date. Thank you, that would be enormously helpful. Let me draw the symbol for you on a piece of paper. That won't be necessary. I can surely remember a sigil as simple as that. In fact, I can even introduce you directly to the expert. He and a few others trusted associates of mine are having a get-together soon. Okay. That's quite alright. I'd rather curse my communications with this expert through you, if that's at all possible. The very last thing I need is more strained friendships with occult fanatics like the chemist. So what else do you have for me? I wanted to show you the evidence in this box. If you can share any insights, please do so. I will. Okay, gucken wir mal. Record. Ich zeige jetzt einfach mal das Bild. Dr. Rayford looks at the photograph for a few seconds. She then returns it with a blank expression on her face. Any other crime scene photographs I can check? Perhaps comparing and contrasting them all will prove a useful exercise. I pass her the rest of the photographs requested. She examines each for a brief moment. She then gives them back. What are your scientific opinions? I have no scientific opinions that are valuable to you. Criminology and chemistry are entirely different disciplines, as you know. But there's something else I can do for you. What's that? I can speak to the deceased victims using an Ouija board. Kann das nicht aussprechen. Ouija board, if you want. Thanks for the offer, but I'll have to decline. Gut, also ich habe hier die Fotos. Ich zeige jetzt mal das Foto von der Jungen. Ah ja, okay, dann sagt sie nochmal das Gleiche. Gut, und dann gehen wir mal in das Case-File. Upon being handed the case file, Dr. Rayford reads it speedily. She holds out her palm once she's done. Any others I can read? I pass her the next case file. In the same swift and near-silent manner, she finishes reading all the available case files. I return the folders to the box. So, what did you take away from everything you've read? I don't know anything about criminal procedure, but you already know that. But there's something else I can do for you. What's that? You can speak, ja, okay. Mal wieder. Da haben wir zu decline. Gut, was haben wir noch? Ich sehe gerade, ich habe hier noch ganz anderen Kram. Den habe ich mir gar nicht angeguckt vorhin, oder? Ich meine, naja. Wir haben hier noch Fotos. Ich fange jetzt mal mit den Haarproben an. My detailed analysis of the biological samples is in the lab report. Just read it. Wow. Okay, was haben wir denn hier noch? I don't know anything about coins like these. Okay. Lab report. This report contains a comprehensive analysis of the genetic samples. Just read it. Ist ja gut. I just read it. Was ist das? Attending this fundraiser will conflict with my plans tomorrow evening. I'm not interested in going. I'm not about to press her for details. I'm guessing that the plans to which the chemist is referring is something occult related as usual. Okay, jetzt frage ich mich, was das hier noch für Bilder sind. Das sind andere Bilder. This is a family photograph of one of the victims. Dr. Rayford looks at it for a brief moment. Are there any other photographs like this? I hand the other family photograph and the evidence. Who do you know in these pictures? I don't recognize anybody here. Really? That's unfortunate. The chemist is from a rich, successful business empire, so I was hoping the chemist might recognize even one face among these wealthy types. I suppose she's spending more time with occultists than socialities lately. Either way, it can't be helped. Gut, ja, dann haben wir auch nichts weiter hier zu zeigen. Was ist das denn noch? Have you ever tried this product? This is from Nectar Bell's most expensive line by far. No, I'm not in the habit of shelling out large wads of cash for no good reason. I'm not sure how this makeup found its way into the box of evidence in the first place. Perhaps this makeup belongs to Detective Krause's new lover, and she placed it into the box by accident. The detective has been hanging around glamorous, fabulously wealthy women as of late, hasn't he? The sudden revelation takes me aback. I know, of course, that Theo has been hanging around that crowd in connection with this case. But can Dr. Rayford's theory be right? Is there something else going on there in the realm of romance? Mr. Henkel had mentioned seeing Theo at a high society benefit not long ago. I don't want to talk about Theo with the chemist right now. Perhaps I don't want to talk about any of this ever. To anyone. Okay. Ja, dann habe ich ja alles gezeigt und können wir das Interview beenden. I have no further questions. Ich wette, mit Mr. Henkel hätte ich mehr über die Case-Files reden können, aber naja gut, jetzt haben wir es ja so, wie es ist. I believe I have enough information for now. Yes, that's so. Well, alright. I won't keep you any longer. You have your own research work waiting in your office. Thank you for indulging my academic curiosity, Dr. Rayford. It's no problem. Don't hesitate to reach out if you require anything else. I will. Dr. Rayford then departs from my office. I'm alone again, but not for long. My assistant pops into the office. Professor, I'm heading home soon. Do you have any last-minute tasks for me? No, I'll be perfectly fine. I think I'll stay and work for a bit longer. Okay, see you tomorrow, Professor. Have a safe trip home. Upon wishing me the same, Minnie leaves. I have some time until I have to wrap up my workday and head home from the office. Okay. Dann gucken wir uns doch nochmal diese Familienfotos jetzt an. Die habe ich vorhin irgendwie außen vor gelassen. Okay, so this middle-aged woman in the colored blouse is the victim. I guess this elder man in the suit is her father. This elder woman wearing the cardigan is her mother, I suppose. Nope. This bespectacled man is her brother, I think. Okay, this is Foto. So this middle-aged woman with the pearls is the victim. I guess the elder man with facial hair is her father. This elder woman with a fur collar is her mother, I suppose. This other man in the darker suit is her brother, I think. Hoppla. Ich klicke das kurz weg. Da gibt es ja auch Parallelen. Das ist natürlich interessant. Schwarzlicht einmal. Achso, ich muss das erst ablegen. So. Not everybody in the family possesses the blue sigil. The blue color signifies scribe magic. Ja, stimmt, die zwei haben es nicht. Und hier hat's sie. Okay, a blue sigil, only one person in the family possesses it. Scribe magic. Gut, was haben wir noch? Das ist die Gala-Einladung. Ich denke nicht, dass man da jetzt... My patron invited me to this event. I'm still uncertain if I want to attend. According to the third case file, this invitation card was seen close to Edna Nebel's corpse. Okay. Dann haben wir noch diese Münze. Ich pack das ja erstmal weg. A coin. It looks rare. How did this get into the box of evidence in the first place? Aha, es leuchtet. This coin has significant traces of parasitic magic. The prominent violet color shows that. There are also traces of warrior magic as indicated by the red coloration. Das ist natürlich interessant. Ich habe jetzt gar nicht, ob hier auch noch irgendwas zu sehen ist. That did nothing. Okay. Dann kann das auch wieder weg. doctor and his makeup case? I have to wonder. Does Dr. Rayford's theory about Theo hold any water? Is he already romantically entangled with somebody new? I'm not sure how I feel about this. That did nothing. Okay, da leuchtet nix. Gucken wir uns die Proben mal an. This is the hair sample from the third victim. Dr. Rayford's report contains an analysis on it. The hair was taken from the third crime scene. The coloration beneath the black light is prominently purple and somewhat red. That means it displays strong traces of parasitic magic, plus weaker traces of warrior magic. Okay, und das Sample? This hair was taken from the fourth crime scene. No traces of fae magic here. This is the hair sample from the fourth victim. Okay. Gut, dann gucken wir uns den Report. Ist da noch was? Ne. Gucken wir uns den Report mal an. Ist da auch noch irgendwas zu sehen? That did nothing, okay. So. This is Dr. Rayford's lab report on the hair samples. According to her analysis, the hair sample from the third victim is genetically fae. Meanwhile, the hair sample from the fourth victim is genetically human. Wait, is that it? The information in this report, while useful, is scant. Dr. Rayford told me this contained a detailed analysis. I'm beginning to remember why I never liked her all that much. She'd much rather mess around with her seances and occult interests than do her day job properly and thoroughly. Gut, dann hätten wir das ja geklärt. Okay, ja, mehr können wir da jetzt ja auch nicht machen. Den Rest wissen wir ja schon. Okay, it's the next afternoon. I should be grading assignments or reviewing the lecture I'm going to deliver in the morning, or do anything productive in the realm of professorial duties. Instead, I find my attention straying more and more toward the office door. I voice my frustrations to good old Oz. Theo will probably arrive at any moment. What do you think, Oz? How is Theo going to respond to my findings? Am I going to astound him, disappoint him? My voice cracks with concern. My fairy companion's chirping responses on the edge of chastisement. God. Get yourself together. You must remain steadfast and strong when facing the detective. Don't permit your voice to falter when presenting your findings. I know, I can't let myself unravel at this point. It's just that I've never done this before. In the past, Theo may have let the details of his cases drop now and then again, but he's never solicited my scientific opinion quite in this manner. What if he completely discredits my efforts? All the more reason to be as calm and cool as you can be. Maintaining your composure is essential to delivering a persuasive argument. If you choose to discount your theory, at least you know you tried. At the end of the day, he's the one who needs to solve this case. You're right. Of course you are. I'm not a detective. I'm simply a professor sharing my perspective. Thank you, Oz, for always talking me off the ledge. Just then somebody knocks on the door. That's my cue to sail past your window ledge. Best of luck. I whisper hurried goodbye to my fairy friend. I'll see you tonight, Oz. Once Oz has flown out, I direct my attention towards the door. Come in. My assistant marches in. She swings the door shut behind her. Professor, you have a visitor. It's the detective again, isn't it? I've been expecting him all afternoon. He's here to pick up the evidence he left. If you'd rather not deal with him, just say the word. I can hand him his box and send him on his merry way. That's all right. I do need to talk to him. He's not going to storm off like he did yesterday. I mean, probably. Please send him in, Minnie. With some hesitation, my assistant nods. She then walks out. There you are. So, what's the magic word? Magic word? What do I have to say to make the troll guarding your door go away? Did you hire her specifically to mimic the monsters in those fairy stories you people like to read? The assistant of yours certainly is tough as nails with your visitors. Hey, don't talk about her that way. Besides, She's not difficult at all, visitors other than you. She lets Mr. Henkel waltz into my office whenever he wants. But that might be because he plies her with pastries. Plies her. Is that what I need to do next time? Bring some bread for her to break instead of breaking my balls? What you need to do is apologize. You were rude to me the last time you were here. There's a pause as he stews over these words. I'm guessing he's about to double down. Instead, he catches me off guard. I'm sorry. I was being a buffoon yesterday. I acknowledge that you didn't deserve any of that. I appreciate the apology. I can't hurt to apologize to my assistant as well later. Your foul mouth and furious manner disrupted her workday. And refer to her by her proper name, Minerva Aldwin, rather than calling her a troll. I'll do that. So you're here to get back your box, aren't you? Here it is. He eyes the box on my desk. You looked through the evidence, didn't you? I did. I looked as extensively as I could given the limited time frame. As much as I was tempted to leave you to your own devices in this investigation, I couldn't resist. So what have you learned? I take a deep breath. Here it goes. I have to present my findings to perhaps the most sought-after detective in the police force. Theo investigates cases right where the crime scenes unfolded. He's agonizingly familiar with the grit and the grime of the city's darkest recesses. Meanwhile, as a professor, my expertise primarily revolves around the nebulous, the theoretical. I must do my best to stay calm and collected, just as Oz suggested. First off, just like yesterday, I'm still suspecting fairy involvement in this case. I'm not surprised. I didn't think you'd change your tune so quickly. But what's your evidence for the assertion? The cause of death of the first three victims, as listed in the case files, point toward fairy involvement, who just hardens into bony tissue out of nowhere. No scientific phenomenon that I know can achieve that. But the fae with their transfigurative magic are certainly capable. Or so you say. I press on despite Theo's skeptical tone. Who in their right mind would drink their own blood? Or would gnaw their own fingers down to the bone? Some high fae possess fearsome powers of suggestion. Their hypnotic spells can make mere humans act against their own interests and endanger their own lives. Are you saying the fae controlled these victims' minds? I'm saying it's possible. The police reports and the case files also support my theory of fairy involvement. There's evidence that the victims were behaving oddly in the days leading to their deaths. Oddly? How so? The first victim reported to police that she had been seeing and hearing strange things. The officer interviewing her said outright that she was behaving strangely. The second victim had been experiencing a bout of paranoia, according to her mother. The third and fourth victims, whose cases appear intertwined, were spotted having a heated conversation. The fourth victim later went to the police station, but before she could report anything, she seemed to see something that scared her away. What could she have seen to frighten her so? Isn't it possible that she witnessed something of the fae, or even the fae themselves? Perhaps the fae were hovering around the victim in the days leading to their deaths. The peculiarities exhibited by and the apparent paranoid illusions experienced by the victims could very well stem from their brushes with fae. When unaccustomed to magic and other unexplainable phenomena, some minds can bend. These minds can bend so far that they break entirely. Listen, you're making a lot of assumptions here. I've yet to see definitive proof of fairy involvement. Can't you give me something more concrete? Why don't you show me how the evidence supports your theory? I take a crime scene photograph on the box of evidence. I place my magnifying glass over the middle-aged victim's left hand. Look, she has an extra finger. That's a known sign that a changeling is involved. I'm suspecting this victim isn't human at all. Rather, this victim is fae, a changeling to be specific. Do you know what changelings are? Sort of. I mean, my mother read me fairy stories when I was a child. A couple of stories featured changelings. They are fae transformed to look human and left in the place of an abducted human, right? Essentially, yes. But how does an extra finger signify that this is a changeling? The creation of a changeling involves especially complicated magic, as several parasitic fae at the time must be transformed into a single human. The complexity of the enchantment often leads to anomalies such as extra digits. So when you continue investigating this case, keep an eye out for extra fingers or toes. Got it. I slid a crime scene photograph beneath the black light to show the sigil. Can you see this blue sigil on the victim's left hand? Theo's eye widened at the sight. Yes, I can see that. The sigil is usually invisible to the naked human eye. However, this black light of mine, which sees traces of fairy magic, can detect it. But what exactly is it? The sigil is a sign of being blessed by one of the scribe fae. Scribe fae? Scribes are a class of high fae known to be cordial with mankind. When a person has done a boon for a scribe, they can be marked with a sigil. Sigil gives good fortune. It's also meant as a warning for others not to harm the marked human. I guess this warning didn't work in this case, did it? No, it didn't. I show Theo the hair sample from the third victim. I analyzed this beneath my black light and that detects fairy traces. The sample gleamed purple and red underneath the ultraviolet light. So what's that supposed to mean? Red is the color for warriors, a faction of high fae hostile to humans. Purple, on the other hand, is for parasites, a comparably weaker species. I still don't know what any of this means. It's important to note that parasites and warriors are two different types of fae. That's overwhelming evidence that fae were involved in this crime scene. I show Theo the lab report provided by the chemist. I asked Dr. Rayford to analyze the biological samples and the evidence. What did her analysis reveal? The hair sample from the third victim is genetically fae. Is that so? How about the hair sample from the fourth victim? It's genetically human. Still, one of the two samples showing fairy traces is damning, isn't it? If you accept what that kooky chemist says as a fact, then it would be, I suppose. That's all I have for now. What? That's everything you've got? You only showed me bits and pieces. You failed to establish how all the evidence fits together. I can't find anything solid to grasp in your theory. Look, I spent my precious time analyzing the evidence. I don't even have anything to do with this case. You could sound a little more grateful. I'm grateful you tried to assist me, I suppose. But I can't lie, I'm disappointed. I swallow back a lump rising in my throat. This is exactly what I've been fearing. I try and I try, but I always wind up falling short of his expectations. I always end up letting him down. Despite the many detractors, including myself, you've dedicated your entire life to the study of forensic faeology. And this is all you have to show for it? You're clever, capable, competent. But this world in which you live is a pipe dream. This line of work is nothing but a sinking ship. You'd better get out before you drown in the pointlessness of everything. I can think of nothing to say to this. What even is he dared to say? Upon picking up the box of evidence, Theo turns to leave. He's not incensed like last time, he only appears deflated. Now that Theo, the tangible evidence of my failure is gone, my sorrow turns to fury. Das ist echt sad. How can he say such things? He's always tearing me down at every opportunity. No wonder we never worked out. I take out some assignments to grade. I mutter angrily to myself as I force myself to work. I'm pressing my pen so firmly downward, the paper just about rips. Professor, is this a bad time? I look up at her in shock. When did she get in? I knocked, then waited for a minute, and then occurred to me that perhaps you didn't hear me. Oh, sorry. My mind is more than a little preoccupied. The detective had an intensely brooding expression when he left. Your meeting with him went badly again, didn't it? Horrendously, yes. Do you need to talk to someone? Maybe. Probably. Definitely. Talking to someone is at least better than brooding alone, as I'm sure Theo is doing at present. Do you have any time at the moment? Of course, Professor. A go fetches a bottle. Any preferences? Whichever bottle is biggest. Or whichever has the highest alcoholic content. Ending number 5. Bottle Blues. Schön. Das war der Prolog. Ja, wenn da jetzt steht, Ending number 5, kann man da auch andere Endings während des Prologs schon kriegen? Das ist jetzt eine sehr interessante Sache, die ich aber wahrscheinlich nicht mehr rausfinden werde, weil ich nicht dazu kommen werde, das nochmal durchzuspielen. Aber, hier haben wir noch ein bisschen die Credits. Das ist sehr schön. Thank you for playing, ja. Ja, wie gesagt, Detective Game, mehr oder weniger. Wir haben jetzt gesehen, dass wir ein Professor an einer Uni anscheinend sind, der sich mit Faeology auskennt. Und ja, seinen Verflossenen und anderen interessanten Menschen. Es ist auf jeden Fall ein interessantes Spiel. Wobei man jetzt im Prolog natürlich nicht absehen kann, in welche Richtung sich das entwickelt und ob diese Entscheidung aus dem Prolog sich schon sehr stark auf das auswirken, was später im Spiel kommt, oder ob dieser Prolog halt einfach nur ein quasi so eine Extra-Episode sind und der Prolog dann nachher anders aussieht. Aber wer weiß, ne? Also das Spiel kann man wishlisten auf Steam auf jeden Fall. Ich glaube, für andere Systeme ist das nicht angekündigt. Aber ich fand es jetzt toll. Hat mir Spaß gemacht. Ja, und bis morgen kann man es noch spielen. Also haut rein, wenn ihr wollt. Ansonsten sehen wir uns auf jeden Fall beim nächsten Demo. Ich wünsche euch was. Tschüss.